And Spags, his defense was the one that defeated the 49ers defense originally in 2020. So for a team that's mostly the same for the most part, with the exception of Jimmy G's now Brock Purdy, I think that's something that he could hold account for. Like if there's somebody to make a true game plan on defense, it's Spagnola.
Hold up. It's not Brock Purdy obviously is an upgrade from Jimmy G. But also you got Debo now in the prime of his career. Ayuk now in the prime of his career. Kittle now in the prime of his career. And let's not act like Christian McCaffrey isn't the biggest upgrade ever from Raheem
Oh,
Mostert. You know?
oh, I mean, from a team that went from running back by committee with Raheem Mostert and a bunch of no names, and now you're trotting out McCaffrey every down. It's an insane upgrade. I mean, a lot of the personnel's the same over there, but it's a very different team than it was 4 years ago.
Nick Bosa, I think, was in his rookie year when they lost.
Yeah,
You got Chase Young now.
Hadn't really broke out yet. Yeah, now they added his teammate from college, Chase Young. So very different team. A lot of the same players, but very different, more experienced team.
And, you know, for focusing on to stay on the keys for the 49ers, as we mentioned, they clearly have the better receivers, better running back, as mentioned. You could argue the better pass rush, as mentioned, as you guys with Bosa and Chase Young. And I do think they have the better linebackers and secondary, which is key, in Fred Warner. And my one thing, and I think that's one thing they really stick out, is just to have that better secondary core. But still, Kansas City Chiefs know how to stop these elite offenses too. So branching off of that for the defensive side, what else do you guys think they could do is the key to make sure you prevent Mahomes from not scoring?
I think the biggest key, and it's on the offensive and the defensive side of the ball. It's the same for the 49ers on both sides. The offense is don't make mistakes. The Chiefs have been fantastic at forcing teams to make mistakes this year. Yeah. If you don't make mistakes, that's how you're going to beat them. And then the opposite side of the ball. Mahomes rarely makes a mistake, and you have to capitalize on it when you do. So the defense needs to force him to make a mistake or two. And if they can force him to make a mistake or two, and Brock Purdy can play a turnover-free game, that team can play a turnover-free game, and force Mahomes to make a mistake or two, that's their key to winning.
Yeah, the key is to pressurize him, is to pressure him off of them.
Pressure, force mistakes, and to limit your own mistakes, which is the key in any game you're playing. But specifically when you're playing Mahomes, you need to capitalize on his rare mistakes and not make them yourself.
Listen, I'm not an X's and O's guy. I'll mainly talk betting and fantasy. But if I had a way to stop Mahomes, then I think I'd be a defensive coordinator somewhere. You know, I don't think there's any way you could stop Mahomes. I think my key would be hold Travis Kelce. I feel like their playoff success has been because Travis Kelce has kind of been back. But during the regular season, I mean, this team didn't look eye-popping. You know, the Chiefs were in probably, if not the weakest division in the NFL. So now you got Mahomes and like Kelce out here cooking it up a little bit. Now it's kind of reminding you of the throwbacks. You got Taylor Swift on the camera every Travis Kelce touchdown. You know, we don't want to see no Taylor Swift.
In the Super Bowl too.
He is. So last time they played, I want to say Travis Kelce was hurt. I think I fact checked and I couldn't find him anywhere. I might be mistaken on that.
For the last 49ers and Chiefs game?
Yeah.
You might be right. I could check really quick on that.
I may be wrong. I might be thinking of a different game. But when I was doing research from my podcast, I was trying to like compare stats, and Kelce wasn't there. But I think last year he had like a touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns at like 50 yards. I know he had like almost 20 fantasy points.
Yeah, so you're right.
Like if you hold Travis Kelce and you're like,
I was just saying right here,
and you kind of let like, let's let Kadarius Toney and Rashee Rice beat us.
Yes, it was. They did play last year at San Francisco. They won. Kansas City won 44-23 last year's week 7. You know who was the number 1 rusher for San Francisco that day? Jeff Wilson Jr. at 7 carries and 54 yards. Now he's out in Miami. And yeah, so I do have here that Kelce was in it. So for 6 receptions for 98 yards, but still though, the key, I think that's also the major keys, just to prevent Kelsey, because he clearly is the reason why, specifically in the Buffalo and Baltimore game, why they were able to have so much success, getting touchdowns, getting yards, just passed at least 70 yards for both games. And I think somebody like, and this is, remember, when you played Buffalo secondary with major injuries, you know what? He's blanking my name, but coming off the bench. So sorry, coming off the couch, and he has to stop Travis Kelsey in the playoff game. That's gonna be tough. Roquan Smith had a hard time for some reason, but now you have all pro Fred Warner out there. I think it's gonna be tough for him.
I agree. And even someone like Travaris Ward, you could throw on him as well, just to make it interesting. Tayshaun Gibson.
I mean, Talanoa Hufanga.
Is he playing?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know, but he's one of the best safeties in the NFL, and he's young, so I wasn't sure if he was playing or not.
He's on the IR, but I think he got hurt pretty early in the year. But he was last year he exploded. Like, he was one of my favorite players. The next Polamalu, I think. But
I was actually about to say that. So I mean, whether he's playing or not, guy, I forgot he was on IR. Could be a big factor, actually.
Definitely.
Jinx.
Got me there. So my only other thing I would like to ask regarding the pass rush, right, of the 49ers, some people felt that Chase Young has been lazy, for a lack of a better term. And, especially we might have noticed in the Detroit game, there were some plays he didn't complete. Not saying that he's been a bust per se, but he hasn't been like the true ultimate combo that they were hoping for in Bosa and Young. Young's been able to stay healthy, which was a key, which was he had trouble in Washington. I do think it upgraded the team, but do you think that should be a concern at all? I think it's fair after a week off when you're playing in that neutral site. Stuff like that really doesn't matter. All that matters is your pure skill at that point. And Chase Young is a second overall pick for a reason. When he's on point, he's been a monster. When he was held in the one playoff win in Washington, he was a difference maker. And I do think that that's going to be a huge factor coming into this game healthy.
Well, coming out of college, that was one of his big question marks, was the motor. Mm-hmm. He was known to take plays off. And you can't really do that in the NFL. But with his talent, even if he takes a few plays off, he's going to make some plays anyway when he goes full bore. So I think he'll be a big X factor, whether or not he's making the plays that he usually does or if he's taking too many off. But hopefully they were able to light a fire under him this weekend, and we'll see a really good pass rush combo of Bosa and Young.
I think the key with Young is it makes it like almost impossible to double team Nick Bosa. Right. If you leave Chase Young, he's gonna get to the quarterback. He's one of the fastest pass rushers in the league. And then if Chase Young really is taking plays off, like, we got Javon Hargrave, we got Eric Armstead. Like, those are dudes that can make plays. You don't even really need Chase Young. He's just a added commodity, extra credit. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
And Javon Kinlaw has been coming on the last few weeks too.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good game. Take away all the fanfare and focus on the actual football. This really is going to be a lot of fun.